Hello, everybody. Welcome back to Like Father, Like Daughter. I'm the daughter, obviously, if you can't see, Marina.
And I'm the father, Father Nine.
Right,
If you know, you know.
exactly. And we just wanted to say, first and foremost, thank you for all the love on the last video. We enjoyed reading your comments. And those of you that subscribed, we are very appreciative of that. And thank you for watching.
Yes. Thank you.
Yes. And so now, I know you all have been waiting probably on the edge of your seats for this. This is part two of our Arcane series for season one. We're going to start with the tier ranking. I changed the tiers. I think I'm going to do different tiers every week, you know. So we'll see if my brain can keep up the creativity.
No,
but
if my brain can keep up with the creativity.
Exactly. The first tier, A tier. And as we all know, and as we all expected, the A tier is still called Vi Arcane because she's the best character to me, and I make the tiers, so I make the rules. And now we have tier B is so this is an internet reference that Daddy will not know because he's not on Twitter. I'm on Twitter every day. And tier B is a reference people my age will know called Papa's Orchard. So Daddy, I know you don't know what that is, so I'm going to explain it. So there's this tweet that someone tweeted about Timothy Chalamet. I'm going to put a picture for those of you at home that don't know this reference because you're not on the internet like me. Tweeted a tweet about Timothy Chalamet about how they don't have any desires to be with Timothy Chalamet, but they
Like
know
Charlemagne the God?
no Timothy Chalamet.
Oh, Chalamet.
Yeah, Timothy,
Okay.
the white
I don't know.
Timothy Chalamet.
So there are a bunch of white celebrities who
My dad,
thinks are black, like
Timothy Chalamet,
would be,
Charlemagne the God.
and we just let her keep thinking that it's easier.
So tier B is called Papa's Orchard because it's someone who it's like, you know what, I really like you. You know, you're not my favorite, but I really like you.
Okay, we could be friends.
Exactly. Tier C is I have 99 problems and you are one. If you know the song, I guess you know the song. And then tier D, clap if you cared.
Clap if you care. Clap if you care.
Nobody cared. Nobody moved. The crowd was not happy. And then tier F, would erase you from the timeline. So
Wow.
that's somebody you really don't like.
Okay.
So let me go through the characters for you because as you guys all know now, he does not know anybody's name or anybody's face or whatever.
Guilty.
So the first character we have is obviously Vi, and she's at the top. Do we have to even say more?
No, I think I'm still keeping. I had Vi in A before, so I think I'm gonna let her ride.
The next character we have is Savika. For me, she is still in my C tier. I have 99 problems and you are one.
No, she can't. She certainly can't be. And D is clap if nobody cared, right? Yeah, she's D. Nobody cares. Like nobody cares.
So the next character is Caitlin, and for me, she's in Papa's Orchard. Because I want her to be my favorite. I think I moved her down. In editing, I apparently...
who's
Guilty.
Caitlin, the girl with the
Oh,
blue hair.
okay, all right.
She used to be in my A, apparently. My subconscious put her there. But I think I'm going to put her in B this time because I don't like that she's an enforcer. But I'll get more into that later on.
I actually like her this time. She redeemed herself by time we got to the end of this act for me, somewhat. So I'm gonna move her up just one tier.
Marcus F. And Silco, you're at the bottom right next to him. Y'all are laying together because I hate you both.
Wow. Marcus, I think he's a step above Silco, only because I feel like he is trying to get his act together. He didn't get it together, but I mean, he is trying. He there's remorse there. I'm not seeing remorse yet with Silco.
Jayce. Oh my God, D. Mel, you're in B because I can't stand you either, really, but I'm intrigued by your character.
Jayce, I think I had him in A the last time. He did some dumb stuff this time to me. Like he was a little bit too much. So I'm dropping him down from A to a problematic fave because I still feel like I like him for what he's trying to do with the hex tech, but he getting on my nerves now. So I got to knock him down a peg or two because his head is too big.
Exactly.
And, I'm putting, since she like laying with him, I'm putting Mel in the same. She gonna be in C too because you know why? She's still moving in them shadows. And I think she got, she still got an ulterior motive.
Then we have Heimeldinger and Victor. Heimeldinger, I really want to care. I really do. Like, I'm sympathetic to your cause. I'm sorry what happened to you this part, but I can't bring myself to care if I tried. So clap if you cared. And
Wow.
nobody's clapping.
He got on my nerve a little bit this go round. Yeah, he's starting to get on my nerves a little bit. I like him, but I don't like him. And then for Victor, Victor for me is like a clap if you care. Like, I get his whole storyline and everything that's going on, but he just doesn't have enough like screen time for me to like develop an attachment to him. So I'm gonna put Victor at a clap if you care because I'm hearing crickets.
No, because
Yeah, it's like very quiet.
It's like we're in the library with Victor.
Right, it's like a church mouse running around.
Nobody
Yeah,
cares.
if you care, drop your claps down in the comments.
And he won't get one out of anybody. Okay, so now we can go into our initial thoughts and reactions and all that good stuff. But so we learned how old. One of my questions was how old was Piltover last video.
Oh, how old
and
is
we
it?
did learn it's about 200 years old, or a little bit over 200, because the second act opens up on their Progress Day,
Yes.
which seems to be like their 4th of July, I suppose.
Yes. And one thing I wrote down for Progress Day was that people come from all over the world to show up and like attend, I'll say, because I didn't see anybody doing anything but Jayce. So I don't know if other people come and like they show progress or they just come to see what progress Piltover made.
And I would, in general, love to see. We get a lot of world building of Zon, I feel like, but we never really escape out of the council building when it comes to Piltover. I would love to see what the people's day to day, like, is there class struggle, for example, or is that all reserved for Zon? And a couple of things, like how much crossover do Zon and Piltover have? Because it seems like Piltover is open to trading with Zon because of what happened with the Shimmer on the planes, or the blimps, or whatever they are. But also, like, is it possible for people to move from Zon to Piltover, or to lose their status in Piltover and end up in Zon? Because we saw, like, with Victor's backstory, he's originally from Zon. With Victor, I thought it was interesting that he was able to kind of wiggle his way into Piltover.
Well, we did see, like, I don't know where Jayce came from because, I know his mom was there, but to me it kind of felt like he was like an orphan. But he's able to move up, throughout the society. So I feel like Victor would be able to do that too. And Victor is like, he's cunning to me.
Yeah.
He's a survivor. I mean, they did his back story. They showed us Victor when he was young, and I remember he had the cane then, and I'm like, wow, Victor's been sick like his whole life. As we dig into the Hex Tech, it started to make sense to me why this was so important to him, that this worked. But then also Victor, which I don't know if he talked to Jayce about, but he's seen, he knows about Shimmer. I don't know if Jayce knows about Shimmer because I don't think he talks about it that I can remember.
I think Shimmer is just now appearing on people's radar.
Yeah,
I think
but
it's
Victor
like
knew about it because they had that creature thing.
he did know the doctor that Silco is working with, so I'm sure he was aware of like these plans that were going to be happening, and a lot of his early training, probably like his scientific research, was done under that doctor, which makes me wonder what of that research did he present to Heimeldinger. Because Heimeldinger's his boss, or was
Right.
his boss at one point in time, or his academic sponsor. It was funny to me that you said Jayce felt like an orphan, because Victor actually is an orphan.
Right.
From what we could see. And so he keeps jumping from like father figure to father figure. First it was the doctor, now it's Heimeldinger, and now it's nobody, because he's cutting off all his ties because the Arcane is driving him mad. Which is really interesting because Victor, hello to my people at home, if you read Frankenstein, Victor's probably named after the doctor in Frankenstein. And so interesting that he's both like the doctor and the monster. You know what I mean? Because there's a big talk about like who's the real monster, because the monster in the book is like made out to be a monster, but we also see that like if he was nurtured the correct way, that wouldn't have happened. Whereas like the doctor, the whole time it goes between being like doctor and monster for the sake of science.
Right.
And I really think that's like Victor's story to a T.
I need him to have more screen time so I can really sit down and analyze what it is that he's doing, because I can't put my finger on it.
And it also was very rude to me that Jayce was the only one on that stage speaking like about their tech, because
That's what I mean.
Victor had such a big, he had a huge part in stabilizing he was the one who stabilized the Arcane. Jayce, I don't know what you were doing. You were just, laughing and sitting back on your butt and stuff. But Victor was actually doing the work, staying in the lab, sleeping in the lab, which is like, people could miss that because it's dialogue. We don't see him do it. But their assistant tells him, like, are you going to sleep in the lab again? So he's the one doing all the
Doing a lot
work,
of work,
but
yeah.
Jayce is getting all the credit. And I
He's
don't
the
know.
face.
Exactly. Jayce
Victor's
is the
broken
face.
down, and rickety. And Jayce is like the pretty boy he's selling this. And everybody is getting behind him, with even Mel getting into bed with him. But
Yeah.
they liking Jayce.
Which I think speaks to a lot of the issues like in Piltover, even though they don't go deep into them. Like, because of how something that he cannot control, people are turned off by him, and less likely to listen to him. I mean, that it's crazy to think about just the optics of something like science, which is meant to better people's lives. And that's why Victor wants to do it. At least that's what he tells us. That's what he wants to do it for, to make things more accessible to people in Zon, because again, that's where he's from. Now, I don't know if he disclosed that with Jayce, because I'm sure people would look at him different if that was like,
If they knew. Yeah.
But he does say, I thought we were doing this to help people, and Jayce is not, like, he starts there, and then he slowly, over the course of those episodes that we watched, he becomes a cog in the machine to like this capitalistic society of like numbers over people and progress at the
Power
expense
over people.
Exactly, of people as well.
Which is why Jayce fell down a couple of notches for me. Like I said, his head got really big. One of the notes that I remember making was that, Jayce was making a lot of enemies because when his lab got robbed, and this is in episode 5, but he started to try to like police Piltover, and making enemies of people because they're like, hey, what are you doing here? Like, you're interrupting our capitalism. And he changed.
And he did change. Money changed. Money changes people, okay? And we definitely saw that in Jayce, because he keeps going back and forth of, being altruistic, like, I'm doing this to help people, versus, like, I'm doing this for my own personal benefit and how it makes me look. But speaking of systems of power, this is actually good to segue into my next point about the enforcers. I just want to know how corrupt and bastardized is the system.
Yeah, it was very one-sided, because I don't know if we seen them police anybody from Piltover. I mean, I know they treated Vi pretty bad in jail. Like, I know they were beating her down. But then I also, had a note about, well, if they were doing that, then what else were they doing? Like, I got the hint of, that's not the only thing that they were doing to her
No,
in
I
there.
agree.
So, I kind of felt bad for her, because she had to become very, very tough. Not only did she learn how to really fight and take a punch, but I feel like there's some other things that were going on there that she also had to become really tough about.
And I think she definitely matured a little bit, because if you really think about it, prior to her going to jail, I mean, and I guess when those boys were beating them up in the first couple episodes, but no one was really laying hands on Vi at all. Like, she took down, when they were in that building before Powder blew them to bits, she took down
she did.
person after person after person after, even this person who was on the first trials of Shimmer, she knocked him down pretty much with ease. And then you take her to this place where, like, literally everybody probably has been told, if you see this girl, you should, mess her up. And now is like dueling with people twice her size or more. But, I do think it matured her, but it also hardened her. I do think that she lost she lost a bit of herself.
Yeah, some
in
of her
prison.
humanity is definitely gone.
You can even see that within her first interactions with Caitlyn, how she's no longer like easy to trust. She lost that, like, even though she was angry in the first part, she was still optimistic about the future of Zahn, and I think that she lost that from being in jail,
Yeah.
just based off how they treated her.
Do we know how long she was in jail?
It's at least 7 years. But then you get Caitlyn, who's like this very naive person, just fired off of her job as whatever low position she had as an enforcer. I don't know the way that their ranking works, but she was probably just like a regular officer, and she
Trying to
comes
make a name.
yeah, trying to make a name for herself based off of the positive values that Officer Grayson instilled in her. That's how she wants to lead her life as an enforcer. But it's kind of hard to be the only person who wants to change a system that's refusing to change.
Yeah. And it's also hard to turn the machine when you're one person, right? Which and a corrupt machine at that. So she's got her work cut out for her if that's what she's planning on doing, because she's by herself right now, because she doesn't even really have Jayce. I mean, he's like her I don't know, he's supposed to be in her
Like
corner.
her confidant.
Yeah, like her confidant. And then now all of us,
Because he changed.
Yeah, he changed. He's like somebody else.
When she does things in this part, it's always behind people's backs, because everyone either underestimates her or is trying to mess up her mission, which is, to put the man she knows is responsible, which is Silco, behind bars or whatever she thinks like is the right course of action to take. And now like she's become aware of Jinx, because Jinx like has made a name for herself based off of like there was the fire, and then there was when she stole the Arcane from them, and the Shimmer attack when she killed all those enforcers and stuff like that. So now she's aware of Jinx, which obviously is a problem for Vi and her relationship.
Yep.
Will definitely be a point of contention between the two of them. But I think Caitlyn is also about to have that optimism, that naive spark taken away from her very, very viciously. For those of you who remember the show, you know exactly why that happens. But you can see the pieces of it starting in real time. Even when she goes to Zahn, like she's out of place, she's clean, like her hair is perfect, and she's very I want to say people from Piltover are a little bit more tan and have a little bit more color to their skin, like not necessarily tan, but like their colors are brighter.
When you mention it that way, I think it's because they want those people to not be seen, right? So they're dull, a little bit more dull.
And then you have like the people who do stand out, like Vi and Jinx, because obviously narratively they're important, so their colors are going to be brighter. But also because like these are the pieces, I feel like, of the change that's going to start, and to kind of upheave that system in Zahn and Piltover of like subjugation. And if you've seen the trailer for season 2, you know that Vi ends up becoming an enforcer for a little bit. And Jinx remains in Zahn. But like, you get to see through their designs, which I really like. I think that's really smart how they're going to affect the story. And even like with Jinx and Caitlyn, like Caitlyn and Jinx both have this blue hair, but it's different shades of blue. Yeah,
different shades of blue.
Like Jinx's hair is bright neon. It's like unpredictable, chaos agent.
The fracture.
Things like that.
That's what I call it.
And Caitlyn's hair is like this dark navy blue, secure, stable, and this regal color as well, showing like her status. The next thing I have on here is I still want to know the source of those arcane crystals. I still want to know how Jayce got them in his possession.
Clearly, there's some travel happening, right? Everybody that's in Piltover is not from Piltover. So, where do they come from? Are they magical?
Yeah.
In nature? Are they some sort of technology, advanced technology in nature? Like, I don't remember any of that, but yeah, there's a question of mine too. Where do they come? What is it? Where did it come from?
Are they remnants of like the magical past? Things like that.
And is it biological? Like, is it living? Because if what we've seen, like it drinks blood or something.
Yeah,
I remember
it does. Yeah.
And like, why would it need to drink blood if it's not living? in some way, or
It reminds me of in Eternals when the planets turn out to like have these living beings in them. I'm like, does Piltover have like a living being essentially, like some source of life
yeah, that they don't know about.
that they don't know about? Like, because in the season 2 trailer, Heimeldinger, I believe, says like the Arcane is waking up. And I'm like, well, what's the Arcane and what's it waking up for?
Right.
You know?
And why was it sleeping?
And why was it sleeping? Exactly. We're going back to Jayce, and because he became a counselor this series of episodes, and I think that's really interesting because I feel like a lot of things are about to start changing, because we saw that Heimeldinger, they retired him, they forced him into retirement, which I thought was very, very sinister of them to do, because that was definitely a rigged vote.
Well, yeah, but he was like getting in the way of their plan. Like Mel definitely has something that she's plotting to do, and he was like the main blocker, the naysayer, right? He was the one who was, if it was going to get shut down, it was going to be because of him. So whatever she wants to do, he had to like get out of the picture. So
Definitely. And he got easily replaced by Jayce, who is the perfect, because I was talking about my themes with you beforehand.
Yeah, I wanna
and
talk
one of
about
my
those.
one of my themes was definitely manipulation, corruption, power. And you see that throughout all these episodes, through every single relationship in the show. You know, everybody is manipulating everybody else to get what they want. And, you know, those with the bigger relationships, Mel and Jayce, Victor and Jayce, Silco and Jinx, who we haven't touched on yet, but we definitely will. All those relationships.
yeah, and I had, in terms of themes, I only wrote down 2, which was, I had a theme around everyone, needed to be saved. Either you were needing to be saved or you were saving somebody, so Vander, he had to save, the whole underworld. He had all of that on his back. Even with Vi and Powder and all the kids, like he was the one who had to take care of everybody. We see that with Vi. She's got to save Powder, right? She's got her burden to bear. We see it with Silco, like with the underworld and wanting to liberate that, but was on a completely different side from Vander. And then with Jayce wanting to save Victor. So it's a common theme that keeps reoccurring. Somebody needs to be saved by somebody, or somebody's getting saved.
Speaking on that, something really, really interesting I thought was there was a baptism in the show. For my non-religious folks out there, usually that represents rebirth of some kind. And like Silco literally puts Jinx in the water and washes away Powder, and she comes out a completely different person. She completely succumbs to that part of her that wants vengeance. Silco has this way of manipulating Jinx into believing that Powder is weak, and that they're two separate people, because that's what happened to him. It's a projection, because he killed the weaker part of himself when Vander drowned him. But as we know, Powder is not weak, actually. It is what keeps Jinx grounded. It is what keeps her from making mistakes that later on, will haunt her. Because she has Milo and Clagger and Vi haunting her because of what she did when she made that mistake.
Bombs over Baghdad.
Exactly, when she made that mistake. We also see another symbol of rebirth through when Vi knees Savika in the face when she is in the place playing cards. And the 2 tarot cards, or I guess they aren't tarot, but the 2 playing cards that come up to the camera are Death and the Magician. And I immediately turned and I was like, oh my gosh, like they're like the tarot, because we're also watching Agatha All Along right now. And for those of you who don't know about that, the Death card also represents a rebirth or transformation or a life change. And we had just seen Jinx being baptized, and I thought that was a great connection. And then for the Magician, that's power, determination, and the ability to achieve goals. So, that could be Vi, that could be Caitlyn, that could be Jayce, that could be so many people that represent those 2 cards.
Yeah, I like that connection. So, and just to kind of wrap up my themes, the second one I had was alone, meaning, at the end of episode 6, we saw that Jinx is now alone again. She ended episode 3, I'll say, alone because she didn't have Vi anymore. Which is why she attached to Silco. And then we also saw at the very beginning, she was alone because they lost their parents. So she had Vi, but, essentially they were alone. So that's a recurring theme. Heimerdingle. Yeah. Alone. He's 300 and almost 50 years old, and he's alone. He's got no family that I've seen. He doesn't have any kids that I've seen. I haven't seen anybody else that looks like him. So he's alone. No friends. So that stuck out for me as a second theme. I'm like, wow.
So kind of completely different, but a segue to that Jinx scene where she had the choice of like lighting the torch or choosing Silco, choosing to stabilize the Arcane and like help him use that to for his personal gain. I thought that was a really powerful scene. I loved that scene, and that's one of my favorite scenes in the whole show is Jinx holding that torch up. Even though she's already been like baptized at that point, this piece of powder still haunts her. Like powder is haunting the narrative, you know what I mean? It's like, I don't know, like she's releasing powder, but also she's hoping that Vi will come and tell her to come on, to hold on to powder and hold on to who you are. And her lapse in judgment of choosing to be Jinx over powder in that moment when she sees like Caitlyn and the firelights come out, her choosing Jinx over her sister is again what leads her to be in this predicament of being alone.
And like this is if Vi finds her in that moment, I'm like, this could bring her back, right? But we know that Vi was busy running from Silco, but it was interesting to me because it was almost like, oh my God, it's not going to happen. She's not going to get to her.
Yeah.
And then she did. So I was so happy, and I'm like, okay, she's not alone. See, that's my second thing. She's not alone. She's got her sister back, and then Kate comes, and then she fractures again. And it's like, and then what's those guys? The firelights show up. So.
And they kidnap Vi. And I guess Caitlyn too. I don't really know.
It's like, oh my gosh, she's alone again.
And it's like Jinx. What's going on? Yeah, I think I think the seed was planted though, that powder is still relevant and powder is still, she's still in there. And you're not beyond saving no matter how far gone you may seem.
I like that.
And I like that as well. I think that's very powerful. If you guys have some questions, drop them below. If you agree or disagree with our tier rankings, drop that below as well. But we love to know your thoughts. We love to engage with you guys. And also we hope you enjoyed this part. Anything you want to say?
No, thank you all for watching. Make sure you drop those likes, comments, and subscribe if you haven't done that already. And I am looking forward to what happens in Act 3.
Yes. Well, and we'll end it there.
Thanks, everybody.
Bye.
Bye.